بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. My respected brothers and sisters, we find ourselves on what could be the last night of the blessed month. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from all of us and our families and all Muslims, accept our prayers and our sacrifice, our fasting and our charity and our good character and everything we've done, and to forgive our shortcomings, because despite our efforts, we are full of shortcomings and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never comes up short in our right. If I ask Him to forgive our shortcomings and accept from all of us. And I want to take a moment to reflect with you on the feeling we have here at the end of Ramadan. I think, many of us, we've been blessed to visit each other in our homes and share meals, and our kids know each other, and we're good friends. But I think when you reflect on the feeling this moment, this night, it feels different. Not taking anything away from our earlier relationships, but I think tonight, the student of Ramadan really feels like he is among their family. We know we're all brothers and sisters, but today that tastes a little bit different. And in a sense, that is Ramadan. That is the blessed month. That is the gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the mercy that He shows in this month. But in another sense, and a sense I want to emphasize with you tonight, it is not Ramadan. It is what we've been doing during Ramadan. It is the feeling of tranquility for a person that has a daily relationship with the Holy Qur'an. It is the balance and the perspective that comes from praying your daily obligatory prayers and then increasing to give yourself coverage with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is the tranquility and the peace that comes from standing in prayer and then being concerned that if my character is lacking between this and the next prayer, maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala won't accept from me. And I say that because perhaps if we would behave the way we behaved in Ramadan outside of Ramadan, we would find the sweetness of this month in the other 11 months. Perhaps if we added to our worship, and then perhaps if we guarded our character, and then perhaps we invested in our families, and we frequented the masajid, and did just a little bit of what we've been blessed to do in this month, then you would find the sweetness of this month outside of this month. And I reflect on this with you because that is the objective of Ramadan. Ramadan was never about what you do this month. It's about who you become leaving this month. Because what is the use of Ramadan if we are angels for a month and then oblivious of Allah for the next 11? This is not true belief. This is not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. And today, on what could be the last night of Ramadan, as I was reading and reflecting on Surah Al-Isra, I was shocked actually how fitting that theme is for our discussion tonight. Because one of the overarching themes of Surah Al-Isra is the importance of the Holy Qur'an. Surah Al-Isra is actually midway in the Holy Qur'an. It's almost right in the middle. As if a reminder for the messages that we started the month and started the book with, that if you've forgotten, we're going to remind you the exalted and high status of this book. And Surah Al-Isra, Isra means the journey of the Prophet ﷺ between the sacred mosque, Al-Masjid Al-Haram in Mecca, to Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, the furthest mosque in Jerusalem. And it is the night of Al-Isra and Al-Mi'raj. The Isra is that part of the journey, and Al-Mi'raj is the ascension to the heavens. All of this completed as a miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the Prophet in a single night. But the surah is called Surah Al-Isra, not Al-Isra and Al-Mi'raj. And it's also called Surah Bani Israel, the chapter entitled The Israelites. And it starts actually with the name of the surah. Subhana alladhi asra bi'abdihi laylan min al-masjid al-haram ila al-masjid al-aqsa. Glorified be the one who took his servant on the night journey from the sacred mosque to Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, the furthest mosque, until the end of the verse. I want to reflect on two things here with you. First of all, perhaps part of the wisdom of the name of Al-Isra is that the Prophet ﷺ, before he ascended to the heavens, what happened? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gathered the prophets, all the prophets that we've been encountering throughout the Holy Qur'an. Prophet Ibrahim, Prophet Musa, Prophet Isa, Nuh, Dawood, Sulaiman, until all of the prophets, they gathered to perform as-salah. And then Angel Jibreel ordered the Prophet ﷺ to step forward and lead the prophets in prayer. As if Surah Al-Isra and its emphasis on the importance of the Qur'an is a symbol, as the Qur'an has relayed to us countless times, the story of Bani Israel, the story of nations to come to the past. Surah Al-Isra is symbolic that now this message has been entrusted to you, O Muhammad, and your nation until the day of judgment. And notice also that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did something incredible in this verse. You know when we, do you know our email signatures or our business cards? If you want to be exalted among people, what do? You add letters at the end, right? MD, PhD, lawyer, JD, right? And then titles, head of this, president of this, trustee of this. And the more words after your name, the more weight your name carries. Surah Al-Isra is not like this. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to honor the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, although he was called the messenger, the prophet, Muhammad by name sallallahu alaihi wasallam elsewhere in the Qur'an, the highest honor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the Prophet, Subhanalladhi asra bi'abdih, the one who took his servant on that night journey. As if also Surah Al-Isra is going to come with many messages of worship, of prostration, of prayer, of reciting the Qur'an. It's the surah in which the famous verses أقم الصلاة لدلوك الشمس إلى غسق الليل وقرآن الفجر, establish the prayer from the night until the day, and reciting the Qur'an, especially the Qur'an of Al-Fajr. إن قرآن الفجر كان مشهودا. The Qur'an recited at Fajr is witnessed by the angels and by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all of these messages, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala indicates that these are coming by calling His Prophet that honor, by calling him His servant. Then in the 9th verse of the Qur'an, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا كبيرا. Indeed, this Qur'an guides to that which is most upright and correct, and gives glad tidings to the believers, to those that believe and do righteous deeds, that they have a magnificent reward. So the Qur'an describes itself here as guiding to what is right. And in the verses that we recited about Ramadan all the way back in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the Qur'an as a criterion for judging between right and wrong, for understanding what is guidance and what is going astray. This surah is one of the surahs where the word Qur'an is recited most often in the chapter. As it is also the surah in which the word Al-Kitab, or the scripture, is also repeated most often. The Qur'an speaks about itself much in this great chapter. Al-Qur'an, my brothers and sisters, comes from that which is recited often. And you know, when we pick up our masahif, right, our copies of the Holy Qur'an, what's hanging out of the spine? Right? Anybody know? What hangs out of the spine? There's a little piece of cloth, right, that's acting as a bookmark. I want you, every time you remember this, you see this piece of cloth, to remember what the Qur'an means. The Qur'an means that which is recited often, over and over. And that bookmark is manufactured into the masahif to encourage us to put that mark where we left off so that we can continue our recitation. Many of us, my brothers and sisters, and I personally, I work with a lot of people that have questions and issues in religion. And I can very quickly tell when a person, a Muslim, has never recited the Holy Qur'an in their entire life. Because it is natural to have questions. It is natural to work to understand the Qur'an. I tell people, we go to physics class and biology class and history class. We pick up the textbook, we don't understand half of it. And we get an A and we're happy and we walk away. Yet we come to the message of the Lord of the worlds. And because we don't understand an ayah the first time, we are frustrated. This is not adab with the Qur'an. The Qur'an, as you invest in your relationship more, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens for you more in the Qur'an. But I can tell a person that's never read the Qur'an, because you can tell by the way they speak about it, they're stuck in 5 verses. Or they read Al-Baqarah and Juz' Amma and they've never been to the middle. Because immediately, my brothers and sisters, their lack of perspective on the Qur'an shows. Because a person that reads the Qur'an cover to cover sees the things that they do not understand and sees the things that escape their immediate grasp in the context of the Holy Qur'an, of the entire Holy Qur'an. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. We have made the Qur'an easy to remember, so is there any who will be reminded? I say this because in Surah Al-Isra also, there is a capturing of the 10 commandments of Islam. We recited them actually in the raka'at we just finished, that started وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Your Lord decreed that you shall not worship anyone besides Him, and that you shall be dutiful to your parents. And then the verses continue. Give the orphan their rights, and the poor, and the traveler. And it continues. Do not take from the money of the orphan and the weak. And it continues. Do not kill your children out of fear of poverty. We will grant you sustenance in them. We will grant them sustenance in you, And then it continues. Do not come anywhere near adultery and fornication. Verily they are an evil path and a horrible sin. And do not kill the soul that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made sacred. And it continues. Be just in your measures. And it continues with business practices. And it continues. Do not walk haughtily among people. Do not be arrogant. Among other verses that I've summarized quickly. I say this because there are people that read the Qur'an and they will debate you for hours about a branch matter of religion or about a detail here and there, and they have no clue what the character and the essence of that the Qur'an calls us to is. So Surah Al-Isra, as it also calls us to recognize the status of the Qur'an, it also calls us to a balanced understanding of the entire message of the Qur'an, of the crux of the Qur'an. And so Surah Al-Isra speaks a lot about 2 things. It speaks a lot about worship and servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it speaks a lot about character and morality and etiquette and proper conduct. Surah Al-Isra is long, and I just want to share with you at the very end on the last page, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the verses that begin وَقُرْآنًا فَرَقْنَاهُ لِتَقْرَأَهُ عَلَى النَّاسِ عَلَى مُكْثٍ وَنَزَّلْنَاهُ تَنزِيلًا. And this Qur'an, we have revealed it to you piece by piece, that you may recite it to the people in those pieces, that we build that relationship consistently with the Qur'an, and we have revealed it a glorious revelation. قُلْ آمِنُوا بِهِ أَوْ لَا تُؤْمِنُوا. Say believe in it or choose not to believe. The Qur'an gives us the choice, as if the argument has been set forth and the decision is ours. But then it honors the people that we want to be. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ إِذَا يُتْلَى عَلَيْهِمْ يُخِرُّونَ لِلْأَذْقَانِ سُجَّدًا. Indeed, those that were given true knowledge from before, when it is recited to them, they fall on their faces in prostration. And inshallah, we will do so later in this prayer today. In closing, my brothers and sisters, I leave you with one task after Ramadan. One task. To have a daily relationship with the Holy Qur'an. If you recite a juz a day, you will finish it once a month and have 11 completions before the next year. But if that's a lot, I won't tell you how much. I will only tell you every day. Whether you're sick, whether you're tired, whether you're busy, after Fajr, before Isha, you choose a covenant between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But take that as the connection between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, never to be severed, inshaAllah, between now and next Ramadan, or should I say between now and when we enter our graves. Even if it's a small amount, even if it's reciting in translation until we're able to recite the Qur'an, to have that daily relationship with Allah. Whomever wishes to speak to Allah should raise their hands in dua. And whomever wishes for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to address them should open the pages of the Holy Qur'an and recite. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from the people of the Qur'an, those that are His people and especially chosen. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make the Qur'an the blessings and the light and the honor of our hearts and our lives, to make the Qur'an beloved to us and our families and our children. Allahumma ameen. Ameen.